Hi guys, Standing Simmer here today, and welcome back to the channel for another speed build here in The Sims 4. Hope you guys are having a good day today. Hope that you are excited for this new speed build, because I'm excited to finally share it with you. So I mentioned last week, or no, it was definitely 2 weeks ago at least, that there was a build that I had built prior to when Strangerville ever came out. Therefore, you know, of course, this will not have any Strangerville content in it, and that I was kind of just holding it back, kind of waiting to share it with you guys, because when a new pack comes out, that's kind of really like all a lot of people, myself included, kind of want to see for the most part. I mean, there are definitely exceptions to that, but I was like, you know what, I'll just hold it back, we'll wait, and then in a couple of weeks time, perhaps you guys will be like, yeah, let's see something not necessarily Strangerville related. So I decided to go ahead and release it now, because I'm gonna get too far ahead of my upload schedule if I don't do it now, and I'm gonna forget completely what I've been doing in this build. So that being said, I only just kind of barely remember the things that I did in this build specifically. I remember the general theme, but I don't really remember a lot of the specifics. One thing I do remember is that even though I both built and edited this footage weeks ago, I do remember that the basement area of this house was actually not included in the footage. I was convinced, like I could have sworn to you, that I managed to record the basement, but I didn't actually find it in any of the footage that I had. So that's kind of weird. I don't really know what happened to that footage. It kind of just disappeared, but there is a whole basement area that you guys will be able to see in the screenshots later on. It's just not something that you get to see me actually put together, which is kind of a shame, because I really like the way that the basement turned out, and it's definitely more the skill building area. It's also an area of the house that you could turn into another bedroom area. It also even has a bathroom just off that area too, so it, you know, would have been nice for me to have been able to include it, but you know, something happened and alas, it wasn't there. The house that we're building today is, as you probably have gathered by now, it is in Windenburg, and I was really inspired to build something that was a cross between something a little bit traditional but also kind of modern, hence the extension that's off to the right of the house. That's a little bit, it has like an odd shape, but it overlooks the ocean over there on that side, and I wanted to use these big full glass modern windows, and then for the rest of the cottage area to be a little bit more on the traditional side. You know, more wood tones is kind of what I was going for there, like warmer type browns, not really a whole lot of cool colors, despite the fact that it is something that sits on the ocean. And I really love this house a lot. I actually built it, again, weeks and weeks and weeks ago for a current household that I'm playing on Tumblr, and in fact, the place where I am in the Tumblr gameplay almost perfectly lines up for once with the speed build as I'm needing it. So if you happen to be following my gameplay over there on my gameplay Tumblr, then know that this house is actually the one that my character is living in at the moment, which is kind of cool. Typically I'm so far ahead of my Tumblr gameplay that anything that I'm sharing with you guys isn't relevant yet. Usually, like, you know, by the time I'm sharing with you, it's a couple of weeks ahead, and then we get to that in the gameplay later. But it all kind of worked out for this one that this is kind of like timely, more or less. I am building on a 20 by 30. This is not for the building up Windenburg save, because I've already built on this lot for that save, and I love the house that I built for it then just as much as I love this house, so I'm probably just gonna go ahead and say that this is like more of a one-off build, even though I am building in Windenburg. And the house is built, made for, well, for sure, one furnished bedroom, so you can have 2 Sims, even though the bedroom area later on ends up looking a little bit cramped. I have player tested it because I've played in this house for quite a while, and it's furnished right now for 2 Sims to live in the same bedroom. However, like I mentioned earlier, there's a whole basement area downstairs where you could put another bedroom area. So I would say more like 2 bedrooms, and I think that there are 2 bathrooms. Maybe even, no, hold on just a second, I remembered. I think that there are 3. There's one on every level of the house, including the basement. So yeah, 3 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms-ish, 1 furnished as an actual bedroom. Pretty much the whole upstairs it's very bedroom area up there. There's again a bathroom off of the stairs as you come upstairs, and then the landing area I turned into kind of like a modified office, but the vast majority of the upstairs is pretty much just the bedroom. So this is actually a really cool house. I loved a lot of the more quirky elements of it. I love the mixing of the color in a way that I never really tried before. It took me ages to come up with the color scheme of the outside, so as per usual, I didn't actually decide to show that to you guys, because if I did, we'd be here for quite a while, and it just kind of, I just wasn't really interested in having to let you guys sit through all that footage when the final product is like just easier to skip to. I think that's really one of the beauties of editing. There's absolutely no way I would want to share like a real-time build or anything like that with you guys, which is kind of funny because I occasionally stream build on Twitch. But I'm always like, in the back of my mind when I stream building on Twitch specifically, I'm always like, oh my gosh, Mariah, like you are so indecisive. Just get your act together, you know? I'm acutely aware of just how indecisive I am. And that's because, like, in my mind, this stuff takes time. I know a lot of people have the ability, like the incredible please share your knowledge ability to just, you know, throw something down as far as the build goes and it looks amazing. And I just don't understand how that works because that is not me. So in my mind, for a build to even remotely turn out the way that it's supposed to, I have to take a lot of time and put that time into it. And so, yeah, building on Twitch is a little bit interesting. I don't really do it all the time, and that's the main reason, is that I'm just like, oh man, it takes me forever, it feels like, to pick simple things like wall coverings for the exterior. So the backyard area is something that I do put together sort of early-ish on, you know, my typical outline for a build, and this is something I've mentioned to you guys before, but it involves putting together the exterior of the house, going into the inside of the house and floor planning it, which I very rarely show in my speed builds. Once again, that's something I play with a whole lot before I end up with something that I'm happy with. So it's not typically something that I put in the footage of the speed build. And then after I kind of like, you know, I'm pretty happy with the floor plan, it's kind of doing what I want it to do, all that good stuff. And then I move on to the outside again and kind of get the yard situation all filled out, you know? So putting down things like the fencing and the bigger trees, and I end up doing this really cool little, like, little patio area type thing out the back. For some reason I was like, I just want to put a hot tub out here because the hot tubs aren't things that I use in all of my builds. And so when I get the chance to use something a little bit unique like that, I like to throw it in. And so I put it up on a little raised platform just outside, like an offshoot of the fencing area. I'm not making a whole lot of sense because I keep saying the word little as a descriptive word, but that's kind of what I did there in the back part. There's a hot tub that's raised up and overlooks the ocean, which is really cool. Then of course did like some, you know, like terrain painting and all that kind of stuff. It's always interesting to me to try to match terrain painting with lots that have such stark terrain painting already. The lots in Windenburg really are a good example of that to me. Like there will be patches of sand that are already kind of existing on the lot, and if you just cover those up with other terrain paint, it makes the lot look like it doesn't really fit into its surroundings. So I kind of try instead to really make the terrain painting that I put down fit in with that of what already exists, and, you know, kind of go from there. Did a lot of just kind of blending, using a lot of terrain paints added on top of one another. Terrain paint, I've said the phrase terrain paint like 160 times in the last 10 sentences. I don't know if you guys are counting, but there you go. I really enjoy like modeling terrain paint after like getting inspiration from other people who I think use it really well. I do think that that used to be like heavily one of my downsides when it came to building. Like it definitely wasn't my strongest suit. And there are a lot of things that still really aren't. I still don't even necessarily think that terrain paint is my strongest suit, but I do know that I feel like I'm more happy with the results of my terrain paint recently compared to when I first started building, like not like back when I kind of first got the game and all that kind of stuff. Landscaping is another thing kind of like that. I pull a lot of inspiration from what I see other people do, both with like plant combinations and also when it comes to just like minimalism versus just throwing, you know, plants and clutter and stuff all over the place. It's something that I modify sometimes based on the house too, but either way, between terrain painting and landscaping, I pull a lot of inspo from other people that I watch build on YouTube, which, by the way, I have not really been in the habit of watching a lot of YouTube here recently. I'm watching a lot more like gameplay stuff sometimes, and that's only because when I go on my long runs, like 2 to 3 times a week, I like to have, you know, actual like engaging type footage to watch while I'm running. And speed builds can kind of get a little bit tedious for me sometimes, especially when it has talking over it, which that doesn't make any sense, right? Like I enjoy gameplay with talking, but I don't enjoy speed builds with talking. Right now, it's just not something I'm really enjoying for the most part. I do like speed builds with music. Like if the music is good, I like speed builds with a music over it, but not really just like a build voiceover, because they can get a little which is funny because here I am doing a build voiceover. It's like, ooh, oh gosh, Mariah. But yeah, that's not something I enjoy really as much. So as a result, I've not really been watching a whole lot of speed builds, and yeah, pretty much just been putting out the one a week, as you guys have probably noticed. One thing I want to mention here quickly, going back to the build here just for a second or two, is that in the kitchen area, I do a lot of cluttering, especially around the sink. I think that that's a pretty common area of a kitchen to have a lot of clutter, and I always try to make sure to have at least one counter space completely bare and open and ready for Sims to cook on, because otherwise you're not going to get the chance for your Sims aren't going to cook. Like, they're not going to want to cook in that kitchen. But around the sink area, there's a lot of clutter. I thought that that was fine, no problem. I actually entered this lot more than once in the process of building this, and I never had issues with the sink disappearing until I got into actual gameplay. So a heads up that if you download this house from the gallery, which by the way, the info for that is in the description. It is available on there, has been for a few weeks. But if you download this house to play in, there's a reasonable possibility you're gonna have to delete some of the items around the sink. I think what did it for me was the paper towel roll and the little potted plant thing off to the right. I think that those are the things that once I deleted them, the sink was able to stay, no problem. But you guys know that whole annoying thing that even when move objects on, you try to place an object sometimes and it says can't intersect the objects around it or something like that. I don't even know. That's what I was doing to that sink when I was trying to replace it in build mode without deleting some of the items around it. So it let me place it when I was building the house, obviously, but it didn't let me place it after it had completely disappeared. So I don't even know how that works, to be honest with you, but you know, just a heads up for you that that's something you'll probably encounter if you do, like I said, decide to play in this house. So what have you guys been up to this week? I hope you've had an amazing week so far. I'm excited that even though for me at the moment of recording this video, I'm still well within the work week. It is still not Friday by any stretch of the imagination. I'm like, we're getting there, but we're not there yet. But I'm recording a build voiceover, well, just a build in general that's going to be going up on the weekend, which is kind of cool. So looking ahead, you know, the weekend is really not too far away. I'm excited for the weekend. You guys let me know if you have any special plans or if you're just kind of relaxing. Relaxing weekends are honestly my favorite because there are a lot of weekends that I have other things to do on, like Friday, and then Sunday is a really common day for us to have a lot of stuff to do. And then if something comes up on Saturday, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I have no weekend at all. That's especially prevalent on days and weeks that I work on the weekends, specifically on Saturday. Usually when I say I work the weekends, I don't end up having to work Sunday. I usually end up having to work Saturday. So I work Monday through Saturday on any given week, and then I'm back at work the next Monday. So when that happens, I feel like I'm like, oh, I just like have no weekend whatsoever. It's really hard to kind of feel like I'm rested on those particular weekends. But this upcoming weekend is not that way. I'm excited and looking forward to a pretty relaxing weekend for the most part. At least that's what I have planned. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I'm probably pretty much going to be like, it's funny, I'm talking about this because I'm like that much looking forward to the weekend. I'm telling you guys what I'm probably doing if you're watching this video on the day that it goes up, which will be a Saturday. But I am probably doing some gameplay because I mentioned the current household that I'm playing with that I actually built this house for. I've been playing this household. I started it off, you know, Gen 1. Didn't necessarily plan for it to be like a long-running thing. Typically here recently when I've started households that are just pure gameplay, I haven't really gone into them thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be a legacy, or this is going to be a this, you know. Of course, unless I'm actually playing a challenge or something like that, and then you kind of have an idea. But I started playing this family, the Meadows family, over on Tumblr. Gen 1, you know, Sunny Meadows was I know, I love her name, it's great. She was my founder, and I have played, well, okay, so currently in my gameplay, I'm in Gen 3. I'm not even gonna tell you where, because it's crazy just how much I've played with this family. In my Tumblr, I'm on Gen 2, and that's actually who I built this house for. And this family is just so cool. I play them, like, on the weekends as much as I can. I don't really get the chance to play them during the week, because just like getting home like later in the evening and not really having a lot of energy to just stand over here at my computer for hours playing The Sims. I'm like, no. Usually if I played, like technically, you know, quote unquote play The Sims during the week, I'm building. And I do that like across a few nights, and then, you know, I play on the weekends for the most part. You guys will have to let me know, are there any families that you're playing right now that you are just like in love with? Tell me about them. Is it a challenge? Is it a legacy? Is it just casual? Like not even story-based? Like what kind of family are you playing right now that you are just so invested in you just can't stop playing them? Tell me about that family. I want to hear details. If you want to share details, obviously, but if you want to share stuff like that, I would love to hear it, because I feel like I talk a lot about my gameplay family, specifically this one that I'm playing exclusively right now. And if you have things like that to share, I'd love to hear them, because that's a really cool thing to share in the community, to hear what other people are having fun with right now, you know? There's one challenge in particular that I'm kind of wanting to incorporate at some point that I'd really like to play. But the thing is that I really, again, I think I mentioned this before. I forget if it's been in a video or on stream. I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, but there's a challenge I want to play, but I'm so invested in this family right now that they're kind of all I want to play. But if I ever am able to kind of break away from that and play something else, there's a challenge I really want to play, but I just haven't really gotten around to it specifically. I've created a founder for it and everything. Those of you guys who do watch my streams may have been there for that stream. It's for the Astrology Legacy by Thai Noodles, and it's such a colorful, you guys know I love colorful gameplay. Like, you can do themed hair and eyes, and it's very rule based in that it incorporates a lot of new elements that we've gotten in the game since, you know, bigger challenges like Not So Berry were written. As fun as that challenge is, as you guys know, I've played it 3 times, but as fun as that challenge is, it is like, even already just with the content that's been released in the Sims community since its release, it's a little bit outdated just in that sense, only because they've added so much more stuff, you know? And so I love new challenges that come out, especially that are legacies, because you can really have fun with newer elements that have been added to The Sims 4 since it was originally put out, if that makes sense. Okay, not even gonna lie, I had to step away for a second and do something else and then come back to the recording. So we love distractions when it comes to actually, you know, recording voiceovers and things like that. I usually try to minimize those, but every once in a while they do kind of happen and they do kind of crop up. I also feel like today that the road noise outside my house, to me for sure, it's louder than usual. I don't know how much of that will actually translate to the voiceover. I'm hoping not too much, but you know, fingers crossed regardless. Yeah, I think it's just a little bit busier this time of day. I'm home a little bit earlier than I typically am because we had to take my car into the shop and it's a whole situation. Long story short, my check engine light came on this week, just yesterday. I know, was it just yesterday? Yesterday, 2 days ago, I don't even know. Probably yesterday. I forgot about it till this morning. And then I was like, hey, we probably better go get that checked out because, you know, that's the very definition of the fact that it says check engine. And I had no idea what it could be. Currently, I still don't even know what it could potentially be. I'm hoping that it means that my car won't have to be tied up in the shop for days and days and days on end, because otherwise the whole getting to work situation is going to be a little bit rough. I mean, I could always take my husband's vehicle, but then that takes us down to 1 vehicle. So I'm hoping that it's just like, oh, you know, Mariah, you let it run a little bit too long without an oil change. So we just did an oil change and we rotated and balanced the tires and you're fine. And that's really what I'm hoping, to be honest with you. We'll see if that's actually the case. But ask me in the comments or something, because I'll probably know by the time this video goes up. But as of right now, I have absolutely no idea. So guys, we've pretty much furnished all of the downstairs of the house at this point. I'm pretty sure that technically we've also furnished the basement. Once again, didn't actually let you guys see that. The whole idea behind the people / one individual who lives in this house is that they're very interested in archaeology. And so that's what the basement is actually decked out to be for, is an archaeologist. So there's like, you've got the table down there. You've got places where you can stack all of your relics and things like that as well. There's a desk upstairs where you can do your research and all that cool stuff. You can buy the antidotes for when you come back from the jungle temple poison from some random trap or another. So it's kind of outfitted for somebody with those kind of interests. Once again, even though the bed orientation situation in the bedroom looks a little funky, I had to, oh man, the floor plan of the upstairs area, it was a little rough. I mean, in the moment, I could have, like when I was actually floor planning it, I could have technically done something else about it, but I was so in love with the outside shape of the house already that I didn't really want to do anything about it because I was afraid it would just really completely mess up the cool vibes I had going there. And so the bedroom, just the shape of the bedroom is really weird. And it was kind of difficult to fit a double bed in there, but I was determined and we got there because my goal was, of course, to make it so that it could be, you know, usable for 2 Sims. And that's usually the goal in all of my houses, that as frustrating as I know it can be to just do like 1-bedroom houses, I try to at least leave the option open for them to have a 2nd bedroom, even if I don't furnish it as a bedroom. Like in this case, I furnish it as like an archaeologist's study. Sometimes I do libraries or gyms or this or that thing. I try not to, at least if I do a 1-bedroom house, not make it so that only 1 Sim can use the bed, because then it's like, you built this whole big house, you know, there are like, what, 6 seats sitting around the fire pit out the back, and no, you know, it's for 1 Sim. I don't know what you're talking about, Mariah. So that's the kind of thing that I try to do. Those are like some of the goals that I have in mind when it comes to actually furnishing out my houses. is to actually plan for there to be at least 2 Sims who can live in, you know, what is the master bedroom, and then kind of go from there. So it doesn't always work out that way, but I'm usually somewhat decent in making sure that it does work out that way. So, you know, this is one of those cases. So yes, it can fit 2 Sims, as I mentioned earlier, and that's about it at the moment, but you could convert the basement into something else if you don't want it to be for an archaeologist. You definitely have that freedom. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and start slowly rounding off the video right here as we kind of wind to a close in the footage. But do know that I appreciate you a whole lot for watching this video. You guys just being here, clicking on the video, sticking around, all that. You're awesome, and if you'd like to leave a like on the video, that would be cool. Make sure to tap that notification bell, by the way. That way YouTube actually sends you most of the time when I have a video that's uploaded. That's actually really handy. I've discovered here recently with people that I follow that YouTube was like not even sending me notifications. I'm like, what the heck, YouTube? I told you that I wanted to be watching this people's stuff. Anyways, so if you haven't done that yet, then that's definitely something that you can do to make sure that you don't miss my videos. But with that being said, I hope you guys are having the best of days, and I will see you very soon. Bye!